Hello there, listeners. This is my first episode of season 1 about my new series called Start World Government. So this podcast will, as it's obvious in the title, will be talking about starting world government and the reason, and also this is this introduction. So I'm going to tell you why I'm here, what I'm hoping to do with this, and kind of just give you a layer of probably what's to come. So I actually learned about world government starting in university in one of my electives, and it's really made me push for it. I even transferred from psychology to global political studies because this is something I'm really passionate about. And so I'm advocating for communist style world government with augmented democracy. So augmented democracy, just to let you know, is a form of direct democracy where it's this AI, a digital avatar, which you do some through survey questions that tries and finds out your political views, and it will basically vote for laws or whatever that normally um, congressmen or people in the government do, politicians. And so what? And so in case there's an important vote you want to do, it will have the option to turn it off, and you can vote for it. And if you don't see things that it's voted what you would vote, you can't change it obviously, but you can mark it saying this is not how I would have voted, and do some more surveys, let it to know you better. And so I won't get into all of it right now, but this is just an introductory video to let you know what I'm about to do and everything. And so basically, world government, in case you don't know what that means, is it's instead of having separate nation states controlling the world with specific locations, uh, and of course we have things like intergovernmental organizations such as the UN. It would be one world government, and my version of one world government would be no states, no borders, no cities even, maybe like districts or things to map out where you are, but everything will run. If you go from one place in the world, even just one city, it will be the exact same run and laws as if you go to the next city. The only thing different will be the location, and obviously there will probably still be some historical artifacts and historical things you can look at, or different environment, but that's about it. Everything else would be the exact same. So that is my view, and why I say communist-like theory is because I am also a fan of Thomas Hobbes, which if you do not know, he is a philosopher, and one of his theories is called, well, there's a lot of philosophers who have a state of nature in mind. It's a theoretical thing before governments were formed. What would people be like? And Thomas Hobbes said the world would be in complete chaos, people doing what's best for them and not caring about others. It would be a horrible place to live. And it's funny because if you talk to any international lawyer or anyone in an intergovernmental organization, they will tell you the state of nature of Thomas Hobbes is just like what's going on in the international community. Because there's no one telling you what to do, there's no order, and there's no one holding you accountable for what goes wrong. And so basically, and I believe humanity deep down can be good. And in the paraphrasing of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who is another philosopher, humans are born good, but humanity and the world is what makes them evil. And I think that's a very powerful thing to say, and it's true, because I've been in psychology before this, and what we learn is that humans are generally good people deep down, and it's the same as in most belief systems. We have to fight against our primal urges, and do what's best. And sometimes to do what's best is to do what's good for other people as well. Do unto yourself what you would do to others. The golden rule, as they say. And so that's essentially what world government would be about. And it's why I'm against communism, because communism, which was invented by Karl Marx, he had a decent, good view of people. And the same as Lenin in that case too, and most communist thinkers, is that they think once we get a revolution and we take down the system, somehow we'll just make a good new system, and once we create a world government, everything else will be great. It will just be a limited government, and we'll all live in peace. And I do not believe that. I think we need a good system and a good idea. And actually, I was just in my course called Racism and Colonialism, and I learned about different, which is funny, but I learned about different communist thinkers. Since my professor, he's very into communism. It's actually what his whole PhD and stuff is about: communism and empowerment to the Black community, how it relates, and essentially, that's what they all believe, that the world will be good. But what I also learned is that after Karl Marx, there's a lot of other thinkers that inspired him, or even inspired by Lenin and figures after him. And basically, what I'm doing here is kind of like that. It's every so often the world changes, and it's different from what these other philosophers were talking about. So they go off of what they said and incorporate new ideas. And I think it's about high time we get a new one with news about AI, different technologies coming up, genetics, and how the world is today, which is very different from what they were. And some of other Congress thinkers are black or of different descent, and there's even the famous communist leaders in China. But essentially, a lot of these are based in nations, and kind of what they saw is if they do one nation, and it's kind of what the Soviet Union meant to do, is that they would take over the rest of the world and make it communist, but they had to fight back and do that. That's why, but I think the whole world needs to do this at once. And what I hope for, and kind of what my plan is so that it becomes a peaceful one. Because if everybody rises up against the system, or at least most of us do, there's nothing that they can do. Like, sure, they can try and fight it, but that would decimate the world population. And of course, we couldn't get to the whole world, obviously, because of places like North Korea or other states where they censor outside information. But I do think we can do this, and I do think it is important. It's why I'm making this series, because I am a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I love watching sci-fi and tech shows, and most of them, and I think it's for good reason too, they would, if it's something in the future, they predict something bad happening, and not even that long from now. And I think it's true. After nuclear weapons were made, they did a countdown to midnight. I think we're 5 minutes till midnight now, which means nuclear Armageddon. And I do think if it's not gonna be aliens or a pandemic or anything like that, I believe it will be nuclear Armageddon. And I think we need to fight back against this now before it's too late. And if it's not nuclear Armageddon, it's gonna be climate change that will destroy us eventually. And I also think the only way to get better, since we don't have technology to renew the damage we've done here, is to get out into space, build new colonies, and hopefully travel outside of our solar system. And to do that, instead of having separate nations and separate scientists, or even private ones now, working against each other and not with each other, it will never happen. Even with the pandemic, So all the world scientists couldn't come together and formulate a vaccine. It all had to happen differently. Everything could be done so much quicker if we all just work together. And this is what this series will be about. So I will explain in further episodes what I like new ideas about this, what I plan to do about current events I'm seeing now, but this is just an introductory video to explain to you what I'm about, some definitions that you may not be aware of, and I'm hoping to see you in the next one.